Hi, everybody. Welcome to San Diego Education Association comes back to school in person. My name is Karen Taylor. I work for the CTA Instruction and Professional Development Department, and I'm really honored today to be talking to two educators, Allison Paredes and Christy Drake, who both work in the district. And so we're going to go ahead and get started and start talking about what it's been like to be back in person with students during the pandemic. So with that, Allison and Christy, could you both introduce yourselves and let us know, what do you teach?
My name is Allison Paredes and I teach kindergarten.
My name's Christy Drake and I teach second and third grade Spanish immersion.
Great. So what has it been like coming back and working with students when we have, COVID compliance? We have to be, a certain feet away from students. Is that practical? You both teach younger students. How has that really worked for both of you?
It's been a little bit of an evolution. So I started with small groups of 4 to 6 kids. So that wasn't so difficult, but that really helped me kind of figure out some systems and get some protocols in place, which helped me as I expanded. So I went from 4 to 6 students at a time up to 14, and now I'm about to go to 22. So I feel like it really did help to start small and figure out like, oh, how should they line up outside? How should we wash our hands? Where should I place dots? How shall we eat a snack? Where can we play that's safe? So I was lucky because, I participated in our phase 1. So I started small and then I grew it from there. That made it a lot easier.
Do you have a trick for setting up your classroom? I know you had mentioned something about yoga mats.
I do. I have yoga mats. I took a picture. Let me show you. You want me to share and show you a picture? This is what it looks like right now. So yeah, we have yoga. They're teasing me here and calling it the Zen Den, but they have yoga mats and a little lap desk, and then they have a little basket with all of their stuff. I kept some chairs, but I'm also, you can see, allowing them to bring in beach chairs. So I expect the school chairs to disappear as more kids see that a beach chair looks a little more fun.
I see that in the very back. And how is this working in terms of, students' attention span and feeling comfortable and all of that?
So I kind of did a little prototype before our spring break. I wanted to try it out, and once again with a little bit smaller crowd, and see how it worked out. And it worked out really, really well. It creates like a little visual island for them, so they know that that's their little spot. And we actually do have someone coming to inspect tomorrow, so everything is actually measured to 5 feet distance exactly. That's exactly the amount of space I have. I could fit maybe one more kid in here. But the kids did really, really well with it. One thing that I definitely noticed is they need a lot of different seating options with this. So some of them would use the chair as a desk, and sometimes they would sit on the chair. Sometimes they would lay down with a clipboard, or they'd use the little desk because they're on the ground and they're wiggly. So that was one thing for sure, was just getting used to like, okay, they need a lot of options for how to move around, and I need to have them prepared and ready to go. But honestly, way more successful than I thought it would be. So I'm excited to get all the kids in here.
That's great. And thanks for the picture. Allison, how have you set up your classroom to make it work?
So I did it exactly the same way Christy did in terms of rolling it out slowly. So back in January, I started with a group of 6 students for 2 hours a day in the afternoon. And then back March 12th, I welcomed back 12 students, full day. So I had the chance to try out the hybrid instructional model. And so same thing, just figured out, little by little what works. And, the kids have really done a great job. I mean, they're so happy to be back. They follow directions really well. they're great about wearing their masks, a couple reminders sometimes, cover your nose. But other than that, they understand about the hand washing and the sanitizing. And so it's been great. But I agree with Christy, getting to start with that small group and then grow to a bigger group really helped me feel more comfortable. And then sharing that information with colleagues. I mean, I'm sure Christy is experiencing the same thing. A lot of people who are doing this for the first time with a bigger group of students, asking a lot of questions. So it was helpful to get to experience that, and then share that information with others has been great. And I'll be welcoming back 21 students on Monday. So
Wow.
yeah.
And do either of you have any safety concerns, or did you have safety concerns before going into this?
I mean, I definitely did at the beginning. So our phase 1, I can't remember when it started. I feel like in October. And it was like, okay, I'll try it out. And then you could see the numbers starting to spike in November. So I definitely had a lot of safety concerns, November, December, and January. And I actually ended up shutting down my phase 1 during that time, which lucky me, because I think I had 6 or 7 kids get COVID during that time.
Oh.
So I was glad to have had the option to close it down. I think that was really essential for us in feeling safe coming to work. But after that, I started double masking myself. That really helped me feel a lot better. And I agree with Allison, the kids are great. They are very compliant with the masks. They're every once in a while when we're outside, they're like, can I take my mask off? But really compliant with the masks. They love hand sanitizer, and it apparently never gets old for them. So I just keep refilling their little hand sanitizer bottles. So I think the fact that I had the agency as a teacher to design how things happened in my classroom, for me psychologically helped me feel safe. That included the opening and the closing. I've been provided with plenty of PPE, so that also has not been an issue. So if I've asked for more masks, I've gotten more masks. So I think all of those things really came together. But for sure, at the beginning, I went into it like, I'm going to try this, and if I don't feel safe, I'm done. I'm not doing it. But little by little, it worked out.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and I think the parents have been really great too. If their child has the sniffles, or they've just kept them home. They've let me know, like, I just gonna keep them home. They had a runny nose, and I just appreciated that. And so I think that flexibility and that understanding and the communication and being really clear with parents, you need to know, we need to be safe. Thank you for, reaching out with any questions or concerns. So, I feel like the parents have been very respectful about that, and communicating with us. If something isn't going, if someone's feeling sick, they keep them home as a precaution, let us know, and then we can check up on them. How are they feeling? Things like that. So that helped me feel safe too, knowing that, let's see how it goes. And I had to quarantine myself during part of one time because I had an exposure. So, parents knew that too, as that they needed to be flexible. And luckily, we did the 2 weeks and was fine. But yeah, so I feel like everyone has a very good shared understanding, at least from my experience, of safety measures and expectations.
Yeah, I think it's really changed. I mean, if I can just tag on to that, I think it's really changed how I interact with families. So I feel I've always prided myself on being very inclusive of my families and community oriented, but this year took it to like a whole new level, where same thing, I would have a parent meeting and I would just be so direct and straight up, like, your family is my family now, and my family is your family. And everything that I do could potentially affect you and anybody who lives with you, and everything that you do affects me. And whether we agree with it or not, or politically, wherever we lie, we have to work together, because that's what's right for all of our kids. And once we all got on that bus, I agree. It's been great communication. But that also means for me too, I have to be available a lot to say, oh, okay, you're not feeling that well. Please don't come tomorrow. I agree with you.
Wow. Well, you two definitely make me feel safer as a parent, sending my kids if they were going to school with you. So thanks for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about how you coordinate the technology and teaching, because I know like Allison has students who are at home and then also in class. So maybe let's start with Allison. How do you set up your classroom and how do you deal with the technology? Because it seems like a lot to do all at once, and some people might feel a little overwhelmed.
So I actually rolled this out slowly in terms of switching my technology. So when I first welcomed the 12 that came full day and I had to do hybrid, I actually had my students initially logging into Zoom, both in person and at home. So in person, everyone was on their computers with headphones. That's a must. If you're going to do it that way, they must have headphones. And so I did that for the first week and a half. So for the whole class Zooms, everybody, whether they were at home or in person, were logged into the Zooms and participating that way. As I got more comfortable with having them in, I was ready to start weaning off the Zoom in person. So what I'm doing now is they're watching the Zoom on the Promethean board in class. I do use the webcam here and there, mostly for the students online to see the students in person. But I still primarily, I share my screen just like I would. I try to keep everything the same, and that's really worked for me as much as I can. So that is the format that I'm using now, and I'm really happy with it. So once I figured out the audio settings and the video settings, because that takes a little bit of time just to get used to, it's been really, really smooth sailing. And now it's just so nice that the students in person don't have to be on their computer. And so it's working well. It just took practice and keeping things as simple as possible, not trying to try on a bunch of brand new things. And then I just switch between my document camera and my computer screen camera and the webcam. But I really only use the webcam here and there for interaction between online and in-person students. So.
And it seems you have kindergarten, so I know their attention span is short. So it seems to work for both groups.
Yes, yes.
Okay. How about you, Christy?
Really similar. Again, started out, I had a couple of students in class with me who needed to be there. And they were on the Zoom, and the first thing you'll figure that out is they have to have that headphones in, or it's this horrible screech. So same idea, they were on Zoom. And then as I had more kids coming, I got them off of Zoom. And I really use a lot like a wireless headset and microphone so that I can walk around and help students and still talk to the students on Zoom.
Wow.
So I like that situation. I'm not teaching anything different. I don't teach the two. They're all taught and see the same stuff. A lot of dot cam, same as Allison. But I like the ability to move around. So I use the headset a lot, and that way I can be talking from across the room and they can still hear me.
What headset brand do you use? Just curious in case people are wondering.
The one the school gave me, and I'm not gonna lie, it squeezes my head a little, so I wear it on my neck. I don't know what it is. Logitech maybe?
Okay, so the school gave it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And I paired it with the Bluetooth, and the same thing. It took me a few minutes to like, oh, wait a minute. But I would say I do pretty much the same as Allison, where all the kids are exposed to the same stuff. A lot more dot cam use than maybe I have in the past, because that's the easiest technology that the kids in front of me can see, and I can share screen it with the Zoom kids.
And you made us a slideshow, right? That kind of gives directions for that?
Yeah, I mean, I made it for our staff, because it's exactly what Allison was saying. It takes you kind of a minute or more to figure out all of the settings of what it is. But once you figure them out, they're really, really easy.
And I think we can share that video that you made for folks so they can look at your setup, right? You made
Okay.
us a little video.
Yeah. Do you want me to share the whole? You don't want to see the video because I'm talking in it.
No, we'll share the video. We'll share a link
Okay.
to it with this.
Okay, yeah, share a link to the video, but it's really easy once you figure it out. So what we did, and I recommend all teachers do this before your kids come back, have your next door neighbor get on a Zoom with you, like they're a student, and you try to toggle between all of the settings and then have your next door neighbor do it. That's what we did.
That's a great strategy. I've done that with colleagues trying to practice different things that we've never done before with technology. So that's just the way to do it. So yeah, we will share the link either to your slides or to your video on setting up that
Okay.
the screencast.
Okay, cool.
Great. So then let's just finish up our segment by talking a little bit about what you're teaching. Allison, I know you had actually made some slides to just kind of show some tips and best practices that you'd like to share with other teachers. So if you'd like to go ahead and share those right now and talk about them.
Sure. Okay. Let's see. Okay. You guys can see it okay? Let's see. I think something happened to my sound. Hold on.
Nope, you're good. I can hear you.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'll just breeze through these really quickly. First of all, you got this. I know kindergarten particularly sounds scary, but it's really hasn't been nearly as scary as I thought it would be. And it's actually been really, really wonderful. So I have 3 best practices I'd like to share. Familiarity is your friend. So, remember that you've put in a ton of work over the past 130 plus days to find the style that works for you. So students and teachers both thrive on routine. So as you move into hybrid teaching, try to keep your routines as familiar as possible. It's going to help both your online and your in-person students feel comfortable. So, I stuck with my schedule as close as possible just to keep everybody comfortable and on the same page. So familiarity is great. Keep it simple. So all those strengths that you have as an educator, just honor those strengths. There's so many cool digital tools out there, but I don't recommend this as being the time to try those on. It's going to be a learning curve in itself. So whatever's been working for you, keep it that way. Document cameras are my groove. I use Google Slides for presentations and things like that with other educators, but I really try to keep it simple for my kindergarten students. So work at your comfort level and you will feel more comfortable and your students will also. Teamwork makes the dream work. I know Christy mentioned that getting together with a colleague or two to try to figure things out ahead of time really will help you. So, log into Zoom with your grade level, experiment, and figure out the audio and the video settings that are going to work for you. Make sure that, your colleagues can hear. If you switch to the webcam or if you are using the document camera or using a headset, make sure that they can hear you so that your students aren't trying to figure that out. You and your students are trying to figure that out when they get there, because you're going to have a few trials and errors anyways. So it's better to work out as much of it ahead of time that you can. And just remember to be kind also. What works best for someone else might not work best for you. So make sure you're being kind to yourself and to others. So different teachers are going to have different comfort levels. So I think it's just important to figure out what's working best for you and then share your successes, but be understanding that that might not be a success for somebody else. And then some helpful tools. So here's a picture of my room. So, the document camera, a small whiteboard to hold up, you can jot things down really quick and hold that up. Equity sticks with student names. That way I make sure I feel like I'm calling on my in-person and my at-home students equitably. I use my classroom microphone a lot. I do have 2 students that are deaf and hard of hearing, so it's really important that they hear that amplification. So I make sure I have that, my Promethean board, my webcam, and then I found that having that Ethernet cable attached is nice because my Wi-Fi at school has dipped out here and there. So the Ethernet cable for backup is great. And then I like to have a second screen. So you can see I log in on both my computers just so I can always see that what my students at home are seeing. So that I find that helpful. One of my biggest challenges, at first I told myself I had to use the webcam as much as possible, that it would make it feel more like regular school to me. But I quickly realized that when I use it as my primary camera, I felt really detached from my online students. So again, just finding what works for you. So when I finally, reconciled that I'll use the webcam when I think it's useful, then I will. And so there's just a couple pictures of my classroom. You're going to see that I have the 2-seater desks, and they do have 2 seating options. They've got a wiggle seat or a regular seat, so they can switch out with whatever one works for them that day. And then, they're just spaced out 5 feet. And I'll be adding a few more desks actually today, getting ready for Monday. And then what I wish I knew then. So I wish I knew to slow it down. So in the beginning, when I first started going full day hybrid, I tried to do way too much. And it's just important to remember that students are excited to be back in the classroom, but they're also a little bit nervous, out of practice, and lack the full day stamina. So once the hybrid portion of the day is done, where you have students online and in person together, I recommend take the time to slow things down, make school feel special again, especially in kindergarten, and then, pull out those tried and true favorites, and you just bring back the magic of school. So I think that's it. These were just a couple questions that other kindergarten teachers had from other schools. So I thought I'd share those really quick. How many students I was teaching online and in person. So it was about half and half for these past few weeks. But when we reopen fully, I'm going to have 21 in person and 4 online. And then I've already talked about this, and so did Christy, but what technology are we using to teach online? I've done it both, with all on Zoom, students in person and at home. And then I've done it with online students on the Zoom and in-person students accessing via the Promethean board. So again, whatever you find works for you best is what you should go with, would be my recommendation. And just what my schedule looks like. So in kindergarten, we do all the online in the morning, which I think most sites are going to be doing, with a wellness break built in, and then a lot of extension activities for the remainder of the school day. So, and then another body in the room, I was asked that. During the classroom lab hybrid, I did have another person with me all day, and we gave each other breaks because we were only a couple classrooms were on campus. And then moving into next week, I will have an extra body just for the 3 hours of hybrid. And then I will be on my own the rest of the day. But I really think if you can in KN1 have that extra body, especially the first couple of weeks as you're getting used to it, would be great. But it does get easier. And then, so if, my second person needs to step out, they're able to, and it's not a big deal at all now that we're in a really good routine. So I think that's it. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, I was wondering how that works with students going to the bathroom. It might help to have a para, right, with the kindergartners?
Yes, yeah. So actually what we did is I have a noon duty person is working a full day now. So she was a full day with me, and will continue to be my 3-hour support next week. So I'm really fortunate that it got to stay the same as the same person. So.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Christy? How is, are you doing similar things that you were doing before? How many kids are you going to have back when you guys are fully back next week?
So I'm going to have 22 in person and 2 online.
Okay.
Like everything Allison said is 100% true. I did all the same things. Like I started out like, we want to teach, and And you get the kids back and you're like, oh, I can do like I used to do. And same thing, way too much, way too fast, way too. Some challenges have been their attention span is very different now because they've been online. And their social emotional learning is the number one priority at this point.
Yeah.
Social skills between how, they've been through a lot too. It's hard. I always say to the parents, you know, a year out of our lives, I'm 47, right? It's 1/47th of my life. And already that was way too much. But when you're teaching a 7-year-old, it's 1/7 of their life. So to them, this has really felt like endless to them. And they can't understand, they can't see the end. And so I just really had to change my focus to social emotional learning first and everything else second. And I had to slow down, same as Allison. But yeah, I'm pretty much teaching the same schedule, same everything. I'm doing literacy in the morning until our wellness break. Then I'm doing math until lunch. And then I'm teaching the extra hour at the end of the day. So that's when I'm doing all the science, art, etc. Very similar to my old schedule, just really focusing on essential learnings instead of all of the learnings.
And that makes sense. And how are you integrating SEL? Are you doing like a lot of embedded strategies? Are you doing explicit instruction?
Yeah, so actually I'm working with a group of teacher friends, and we're developing these kind of integrated SEL strategies and lessons. So I always do a morning meeting anyway. It's very different when we can't sit in a circle and look at each other and all of that, but definitely every morning start our day off with a morning meeting and some sort of a check-in. How are we doing today? What's bothering us? What do we need to deal with? And then I am trying to structure the learning in ways that they have to talk to each other, work together, and resolve problems together, because that's what I noticed. Like right away when they came back for a longer period of time and we were out on the playground. I mean, I'm teaching second and third grade, so there's a certain skill set that you think kids naturally already have at this age, and they don't because they haven't been in school since first grade. And so I was noticing like, oh, you guys really aren't able to solve simple problems on the play. You're fighting with each other the way you fight with your brother at home.
Wow, what a great observation.
Yeah, so we had to like, hey guys, like that's not your brother at home, that's your friend, and let's try again. What are some nicer ways to talk to each other? And I'm not saying they were bad in any way. I'm just saying they've had a year in isolation, and so I just really had to, like target it. So I would see something happen, and then the next morning meeting, I'd be like, okay, so I noticed this. How can we solve that? The same stuff I've always done, but I would just say a little bit more intense. And then I'm trying to just include collaborative games that they can play in class a little bit more often. Little brain breaks that I was doing on Zoom that are fun, but then, they have to interact and we have to talk to each other. So, and just everyone being a little bit more cognizant that it's been a hard year for everybody and we need to be nice.
Yeah, you make some really, really good points and good ideas. So we're about ready to end this session. So any final thoughts or ideas for folks as they get ready to come back full time from either of you?
I mean, I've already been teaching the kids, and I'm super excited about all of them being here together on Monday. I don't know. It's like I needed this, So yeah, it's a lot of work and it's nerve-wracking because there's a, big scary virus floating around. But if you can get over all of that and remember like why you started teaching in the first place, that's what this is about. And as soon as those kids come back, it's going to be great. And you know what? The kids are patient. So if it's clunky and it's not working out and it's, they laugh it off. They don't care. So I'm super excited, and I hope everybody is excited to see the kids and have them come back.
Yeah, I would agree completely with what Christy said. Just even the teachers that have been walking around setting up and seeing the kindergartners, and they've even said, just seeing your students and the excitement they have at being at school is making me excited. And it really is. the kids have always been the best part of the job. And, you know, seeing them, some of them for the first time in person is just the greatest feeling. Seeing how excited they are to meet these friends, these virtual friends in person and spend time with them. It's their excitement is contagious. And so I would just tell teachers, hold on to that, go with it and embrace it. And it really does make your days, you know, like Christy said, the other scary things that go along with it, it really, the joy that the kids have in being back so outweighs the other stuff. And so, you know, hold on to that, you know, lean on your colleagues and just enjoy it. So
Thank you so much, both of you. And thank you everyone for listening, and good luck.